Mishlei Perek Bet talked about how in the first chapter, question who does Shlomo address this book to? And here in the first number of chapters, we'll see the lot that it says, Bini, my son, imtikach amarai umitzvotai titzbon itach, my son, if you accept my words and treasure up my commandments. Okay, right? If you listen to what I'm saying, to the thoughts that I have, if you accept them, if you believe in them, Lahakshiv lechochma oznecha tateh libcha litvuna. If you make your ear attentive to wisdom and your mind open to bina, to discernments. Chochma, we talked about the last chapter, the feminization of it, the wisdom. Here, tvuna, bina is not just wisdom, but it's being able to, the words of Rashi in the Torah, navon is lahavin davar mitoch davar. Somebody who can understand one thing from another, somebody who can analyze rather than just sort of a plain knowledge is one of the ways understanding this chapter or understanding that idea and that word. It's more analysis than just knowledge. Kiim libina tikra litvuna titain kolecha, in verse 3. If you call to understanding and cry aloud to discernment. So if you're trying to analyze, im tivakshena chakesef v'cha matmonim tichapsena. If you seek it as you do silver, kesef also of course means money, and search for it as for treasures. Right? Wisdom. Some people are very smart, but as I've heard cited, I don't know who said it. It's amazing how lucky people who work hard are. Our luck just finds their favor, right? So if you don't work hard with your wisdom, with your intelligence, you just have some raw intelligence, but you don't work hard in doing stuff, then you're not going to get more intelligent. You're not going to get more knowledgeable. You're not going to have greater methods of analysis. So here too, search it like you search out for money, like you search out for physical material treasures. And then in verse 5, Az tavin yirat Adonai v'dat Elohim timsa. Then you will understand the fear of God and attain knowledge of God. Remember yesterday, what did we start with? Yirat Hashem is Reshit Chochma. The beginning of knowledge starts with the fear of God. Knowledge here is not just academic, intellectual knowledge. It is linked together with living a virtuous life. It's linked together with living a life of morality and care. And we've told here, Ki Adonai yitein chochma mipiv da'atu tvuna, because ultimately, right, God is the one who grants wisdom. Knowledge and discernment are by His decree, and we know that to a certain extent, wherever you are in life and whether you believe in or agree in. So much of the way a person can live their life is based upon how they're born, genetics, normal birth, right? So you can work hard and you can make yourself into a better person, a smarter person, but ultimately from the get-go, so much of it is dependent upon God. And here we say, if you have that life, and again here, wisdom and virtue, wisdom and morality are coming together. They're not just one or the other. Yitzpon la yisharim tushia Magain lahol chetam. He, meaning God, reserves ability for the upright and is a shield for those who live blamelessly. So if you live properly and if you live correctly, then God will shield you from things that could get in the way of your attainment and search for knowledge. Linsor or chot mishpat v'derech chasidav yishmor. God guards the path of the justice, protects the ways of those loyal to Him. I believe it's Maimonides in the Moreh Nevuchim, although I could be incorrect because it's been a while. We have to ask. Forget who teaches Guide for the Perplexed in the Yeshiva, but I believe Rambam is of the opinion that the closer you are to God, the more protection you have, the more hashkacha pratit in a sense that you have. And so here, the more moral you are, the more protection you have from God. The more protection you have from God, then God protects you, and then instead of worrying about paying your electricity bill tomorrow, or instead of worrying about not getting beaten up tomorrow, you'll be able to spend your time studying Torah, as Tav you said, and wouldn't that be the greatest thing? Az Tavin, verse 9, Tzedek u'mishpat u'meshirim kol ma'agal tov. Then you'll understand what is right, what is just, what is equitable in every way, in every situation. Ki tavo chochma b'libecha v'dat l'nafshecha yin'am. For wisdom will enter your mind, and knowledge will delight you. You'll get to this place where those are the things that are going to happen, because you're going to be able to be considering knowledge. You're going to be able to have that, rather than about the basics of life. Foresight will protect you, and discernment will guard you. So now that God has protected you, and now that you have knowledge and you have understanding, and you are trying to live a virtuous life, or to live a kind life, trying to live a good life. So all of this knowledge that you have attained is going to further buffer the way that you can live. The Hatzilcha in verse 12, Midarach Ra Me'ish Medaber Tapuchot. It will save you from the way of evil men, from men who speak duplicitously, for men who speak evil, for men who try to lie about what is correct, right? The word tapuchot, from lahafoch, to switch. They say, right, they're telling you what is good is bad, what is bad is good, etc., etc. Hauzvim or chot yosher lalechet b'darchei choshech. They leave the paths of light, the paths of straightness, and go follow the ways of darkness. These people, asmechim lasot ra yagilu b'tapuchot ra, who rejoice in doing evil, who exult in the duplicity of evil men. Asher orchotehem in verse 15, ikshim v'nilozim b'mag lotam, men whose paths are crooked and who are devious in their courses, who are devious there in the ways that they act. Not only is it going to save you from them, but it will also, verse 16, latzilcha misha zara minochriya amareha Echlika, will save you from the forbidden woman, from the alien woman whose talk is smooth. This is right. This is a book that's generally, like most of the Torah, addressed to men, and thus here it is the forbidden woman, the alien woman. You can understand that, of course, as being anybody of the opposite gender. So we can address it to men and to women, and saying that the knowledge and the relationship with God and the fear of God, that will protect you from Ishzar and from Ishnachri. Right, so it's the same thing, from the foreigner, the one who's going to talk you away from our people, away from our way of life. Ha'ozevet, in verse 17, aluf ne'orev yet brit Eloheha shachecha, who forsakes the companion of her youth and disregards the covenant of her God. Okay, so again, this is the ways of that are crooked and are evil, and the ways that God first and then wisdom will protect you. Ki shachal mavet beitav al-rafaim mag lo tehar. Her house sinks down to death. Her course leads down to the shades, down, right? So many times in the book of Tehillim, we talked about the Sha'ol, the darkness, going down into the pit, the place you don't come from. So if you follow in these ways, then that's where it's going to lead you. Kol ba'eh lo yeshuvun v'lo yasigu orchot chayim. Summing up what we just said, all who go to her cannot return and find again the paths of life. That's where you will be. And so here, interestingly, in this book, we talked about yesterday's chapter, the chokhmas, or the personification, personified as a woman. It's in tomar, it's in the female. But here also, the same way that personification of chokhmah, the female, which can bring you wisdom, which can protect you, the way that that's also it's described in the feminine form that can lead you down this path, a path that you will end up in, and it will be your end. You will never be able to come back to the orchot chayim, to the paths of life. Verse 20 comes back, Laman telech baderech tovim v'orchot tzadikim tishmo. So therefore, again, this is a good and evil. Don't follow the bad ways. The wisdom will protect you. God will protect you. Virtue will protect you. So why am I telling you all these things, Bini? Why am I giving you this advice, my son? So that you go in the good ways, so that you keep the path of the just, or chot tzadikim. So book Orchot Tzadikim, Ki Yesharim Yishkenu Aretz Utmimim Yivatru Va, because the upright will inhabit the earth. The blameless will remain in it. It's not the meek will inherit the earth. Who is going to inherit the earth? The people who are yashar, the people who walk in the right path, the people who follow the wisdom. And the wisdom, again, this is not, again, I know I've said 4 times already, so you're probably sick of hearing me saying it. It's not just intellectuality. This is not just wisdom and knowledge. This is wisdom which is wrapped up together with morality and virtue and ethics and kindness and decency, all these godly ideas. Now, as opposed to the upright who will inhabit the earth, in verse 22, we conclude the chapter, Urishaim me'eretz yikaretu, uvogdim yischu mimena. But the wicked
will vanish from the land, and the treacherous will be rooted out of it. And so this is a chapter here that's, if you have the fear of God, if you have this wisdom, if you follow in these paths and in these ways, then right, then you will stay away from the folly. You will stay away from the foolishness. You will not be incited by presumably sexual desires and leaving what is your inheritance to go to something foreign, whether the isha there is just the sexual desires, whether it also references at the same time idolatry or immorality just generally. Of course, you can read it in different ways, but this is what this chapter is about, is at its core the attainment of wisdom is wrapped up together with morality, kindness, goodness, decency. And if you begin to get that, if that's what you're searching for, God will protect you, which will keep you out of dealing with bad stuff in life. And because God protects you, you can spend your more of your time gaining the wisdom and the insight, and that will teach you and get you to lead yourself to be good, and that will keep you out of even more trouble. So it's I don't know what's the opposite of a vicious cycle. It's I don't know, a benevolent cycle. I'm not sure what the what the exact phrase is, but that is the hope in this chapter. So once we start with it, once we have this Yirat Hashem, and once we leave those things behind, then we can move forward, and the protection from God, and then our own wisdom will be that second layer of protection to keep us away from the things that bring us down in life and allow us, instead of going down, to only go la'ela ula'ela, to only go up and above, and keep moving up in our morality, in our wisdom, and in the way that we can then experience the world in which we live.